Yo, JD here, Turtlemus, and as you can see, we are back on F1 2021 as always, and today we are finally back in an Xbox lobby, which has been quite some considerable time. So today we're in a 25% race at Monza, and most of the people in here are YouTube members, so that leads me to say once again, thank you so much to some new extra rotation members of Matthew Carter, TGG Grims, Vashes, Philip Wester, OH44, Mahai, Konstantin Powell, Goran Jutasic, Elias Grodja, I'm so sorry I'm butchering all these names, Ryan Moss, and ARC Trooper Jesse. Thank you so much for joining the Extra Rotation Club. With my YouTube membership, you will be getting a first priority access to these online lobbies on all platforms. You will also get to practice with me when I do my upcoming league races. I had about 12 people from my YouTube membership helping me practice for my league race that I did on Saturday, which was unfortunately blocked by FOM, the stream, which was great. So hopefully that gets released soon, and then I'll be releasing the highlights. But thank you so much to everyone who did join that, and many other benefits such as getting my upgraded setups, which I've uploaded my Silverstone one from Saturday. Also getting to talk to me and a permanent discount on the one-to-one coaching at coachlimitless.com. So today we are at Monza, playing around with the SERP because I haven't been around this track for some quite considerable time. I'm going to be starting last on the medium tyres, the alternate strategy, and yeah, it's been a while. I always try and put myself on tracks that I haven't done, just so I don't get too rusty on them. And here we're starting in the Haas because I was preparing for my league race that I had. This was actually done on Friday, I think, this race. So just trying to get back to the swing of Xbox, and as usual, we are having to wait around for an absolute year before people load in. So as we're waiting for FLK8, Craze, who I know is a YouTube member of mine as well, to load in, we're just getting ourselves completely psyched in for this. And this is one of my issues I have with Xbox. It's just the connectivity. It's just night and day difference compared to PlayStation and PC. But we finally got in. Now we've got 4 lights, 5 lights here, and go let everyone go at the start of this race. Go take it nice and easy. Let everyone do their thing, and no crashes so far, as this guy is a bit drunk, it seems, and yeah, already a bit of carnage. So just gonna take it nice and easy, but then this guy is going down the inside, not realizing we maybe have only 13 laps. It is a 25%. To be fair, as I get caught off guard a little bit here, so not going to be using the battery at this stage. No real need to fight it too hard, as JD, who I think is another YouTube member of mine, we're just going to let him have this corner. And in this video today, I really want to try and illustrate of why sometimes being very patient and forward thinking is sometimes more beneficial. So we're just going to nab this position here as the Alpine decides to take a trip into the barrier. Keegan deciding to leave the session, and we've managed to get through up into P13, as now we're behind EXR Ollie, who is a pretty quick driver himself. Do a quick wheel test there just to make sure everything is still connected nicely, and yeah, too many Red Bulls again, as 2 other cars are just deciding to take a vacation on the grass. And now we're up into the top 10 without really being too aggressive. So now we're behind Asdado Note. He's a pretty fast driver himself, out in the lead. I will be changing the mini-map, don't worry. People keep telling me to change that. I will be changing it for future league races. As XLOI, we're just going to let him have this corner because there's no real point fighting him at this stage. But then he makes a dog's dinner of that corner. The soft tyres are going to be far superior at the beginning of the race, and I know he's a pretty competent driver himself, so we're going to let him have this, and we're going to try and actually follow him through as we go up through the field. So knowing when to be aggressive, when not to be. So he's going down the inside of PSR Troy, who is another very, very fast driver himself. As we've got FRT Akos and EOS Hamilton behind, who again, some more very, very fast drivers. So we're in a pretty nice position as the other JD has decided he's had enough of this online lobby. So coming into here, the goal now is just to try and save the EOS as much as possible. And you will see as this race develops of why that was a pretty good decision to make in the end. Because Monza, whenever I play this online, never fails to deliver very, very intense races, as this guy in the lead is done a 22.5. So we are quite a way behind, as PSR Troy already decides to pit. So going for a bit of a massive undercut strategy, which we did see in esports for a few people. But this track, the fresher softs you have, the more OP it is. We're trying to curb and deciding after that we're not going to be touching the curbs any longer. As we have FLK8 behind. Seems to be a new glitch in this game where it says someone is like a lap car or in a much lower position, but in fact they actually are directly right behind you. So a bit of a, well, I wouldn't really say a shock, but another glitch which is very, very annoying on this game. As now we're going to try and stay within the DRS zone of xSmithyx. So we're going to use a bit of the battery here now. So we just missed the DRS zone, so we're going to be using it quite aggressively because I don't want to be overtaken by FLK behind. So going through Ascari, we really don't do that very, very well, and that's really compromised the exit. So using the battery again, just seeing if we can just about get within the detection point, which is coming up, but I don't think we're going to be close enough, and the answer is no. We are definitely not going to be close enough, as Pepper Gamer does a 22.0. Let's see what kind of lap time we're doing, and it's a 22.6. So I was hoping that he might be on the soft tyre. We're not going to fight this too hard, as I can see he's on the soft tyre. Although it says he's in 20th, he isn't actually in 20th. He is legitly in 9th place, as a couple of these guys are having a bit of a nightmare. So we're just going to take advantage of all three of these cars, and we're just going to try and follow through FLK8. Sounds like a droid from Star Wars. But he is on the soft tyre. So again, a lot of people love to just try and fight every single position, no matter what tyre they're on. But sometimes you just need to be a bit smarter, realise which battles you can face and not. And unfortunately, that is his race completely over. So we do have the benefit of the DRS. See how much EXR has actually pulled away on those soft tyres, but you will see at the end the alternate strategy, if you can go long to the race as well, is extremely powerful. So you can see we're looking quite relaxed at this stage, but I was quite far behind the leader, and was a good 5 or 6 seconds behind the leader, and I didn't know what tyre he was on. So we've got this Vortex Lynch in front of me, who again, another YouTube, I think 80% of the people in this lobby are YouTube members, who I do invite first before I go live with the lobby. So if you do want a guaranteed invite, that is a pretty good way to do it, and I do this on all platforms as well. And you know, this guy has got good pace, so we're just going to stick behind him. So the gap to Ollie is about 2.8 seconds. So see how much battery we have. We have a fairly good chunk of the battery, which again, that top bar, that is the deployment. So the deployment can often run out before the battery itself. And someone made a good point, because I'm not going to go into a rant about this again, but you will see at the end of the video why it is beneficial at times. You don't really want to be running it down to 10% on the last lap, because under 10%, the battery power or the straight line speed is severely, and I mean severely, reduced. So if you get to that stage where you're under 10%, it's better to actually run out of deployment but still have 10% of the battery left, because then you're not going to be losing a lot on the straight line speed, if that does make any sense. And you will see what I mean at the end of this video. You can see we're getting a good exit here. I'm going to try and overtake him without using any of the battery power. So you can see he's actually using the battery, which in my opinion is quite a big waste. He's just wasting the battery because it should be quite an easy move as we're managing to stick to the racing line as well. Trying to spot the apex, but we're actually going a little bit deep, or maybe got a slight tap from behind as well. And you can see we've managed to save a good chunk of the battery that lap. Going to be using it a bit now just to propel that momentum. And I can see the slap bust as Troy does the fastest lap of the race of a 21.8. So he did go for a bit of an undercut, but hopefully our tyres will be good at the end, as a slap bust has unfortunately gone round. But he was on the medium tyres, and he is also a pretty fast driver himself. So that was a big gap. But I have EQR Hamilton, if I can read that correctly, up in P3, who is on the medium tyres, because there is a lot of fast people in this lobby. So I want to see where my teammate is as well. Hopefully he wasn't, and it says my teammate is in 8th position. So I've got to try and close in on these medium runners as much as I can. So that is the absolute goal here. So I believe we're actually going to be pitting this up, because I wasn't happy with the gap I had with these medium runners up ahead. If I allowed them to undercut me, then I wouldn't be fast enough to close in. So we're actually going to be doing something crazy. We're actually going to be going for the undercut, which, if anyone knows me, is typically something I don't do. But with a lot of inspiration from people in the comments, I've decided to change my ways, go for this undercut. And I really had to, because with Hamilton, and he actually decided to pit as well. So he's kind of actually countered that advantage that I could have gained. So we're going to be on the same freshness of tyres, and now it's going to be a battle of the pure pace. How much pure pace? As PSR Troy hasn't actually got the undercut, which is very surprising. He was about a second a lap quicker. He must have made a very big mistake. As FLK8, he's on the softs still, so he was still recovering from his spin, and really need to get past him, because I'm going to be much, much faster on 7 lap fresh softs, and he thankfully decides to let me go. Otherwise, that could have really, really harmed my progress in this race. So now it's going to be a straight fight between myself, and there's 2 Hamiltons up ahead, but it's going to be mainly this EQR Hamilton. How much raw speed do I have over him? We're on the same freshness of tyres. He did the smart thing by actually not going an extra lap, because I would have got probably quite a big undercut him. So my goal was to try and get back within his DRS through the undercut. But now this is probably a smart thing that he has done. And the gap is about 3.5 seconds. And you can see how much time we are closing on Hamilton, who is still out on those medium tyres. And now he has pitted. So we're probably going to be gaining about 2 or 3 seconds on him. So unless he has an insane comeback, because we do a purple last sector, someone else is coming out of pits. So this is Ollie coming out of the pits. He was about, I'm going to say about 2.5 seconds ahead, and you can see the gap. We've closed in by a second on this lap. So now I can see I'm very, very close to the detection point. This is where I want to be using the ERS, because I want to try and get within that DRS zone on the second straight. So knowing when to push through, I haven't really closed in that much on Hamilton up ahead, but I was presuming that he was using a little bit less ERS, or sorry, more ERS than I was using, because I've been quite conservative on the battery. So I'm going to try and gain without using any of the battery on this straight, because I'm not going to be close enough to make the overtake. But you can see this is just going to be preparing me even closer to Hamilton whilst I'm saving the ERS. So this is exactly where I need to be at this stage of the race. And now I don't want to get too close where he's going to let me go before the detection point. And you can see because of that, we've actually gained half a second on Hamilton in P4. Now the goal here is to try and overtake Ollie without using that much ERS. But I can see on the exit he's actually using a bit of it. So we have to get this move done, because if we stay behind him this lap, it gives me a little bit of a wiggle, signifying that he's probably going to make it quite easy for me. Really had to overtake him here. Otherwise, being held in this first sector, I would have just been losing so much time. But it's already showing how powerful the alternate strategy is around Monza. It is very, very powerful. As we've got Dado Notes, who is on the medium tyres. So thankfully, he wasn't on the alternate strategy, because he was lapping very, very fast in the first stint. So we set a purple first sector. The gap is now 1.5 seconds. So we have gained about 2 seconds on Hamilton. So this pace at the moment is looking very, very nice. So coming off here, really pushing the limits of the car just a little bit more. But he's actually gained a bit of time. So kind of says to me he's running a little bit more of a high downforce setup, which means he is going to be fast in the corners, but we are going to be fast on the straights, and we are going to be managing to reharvest the energy much, much quicker. So he's actually got a 3-second time penalty now, but as you know, in these open lobbies, I don't like to win on penalties. I like to try and win on track itself. And as we are coming into here, you can see how much we've gained on the P2 man of Dado. And this is actually being timed very, very nicely as we set the fastest up of the race of a 20.9. Ollie's managed to hang on actually quite nicely to my surprise with those medium tyres. But you can see he's come up to a train of cars ahead of him. And this is perfect because he's probably going to catch them and not overtake them in this lap. And I'm going to be able to catch them and then start to save the battery. So the last thing I want is for Hamilton to get through these guys, and then I've only got 3 laps to overtake them myself. So I was really hoping as a little bit of an instant here. So Pepper Gamer, and that has completely negated the advantage that these guys had. And Dedano is now in P2, Hamilton in the lead. So I'm just going to sit behind here. Am I going to try and make this overtake happen now? No, I'm not. Don't need to be in a rush here, because this guy ahead of me has got the DRS and his red light is flashing, so he's going to be very, very slow in a straight line, and he actually retakes the lead. So I'm just going to take my time. No real need to get past because there is another DRS zone, and I'm still not going to overtake him because this guy really seems to like to use a lot of his DRS, and he is running an absolute fume. So he actually goes for the overtake, and that means we're probably going to be doing a double overtake on this Aston Martin now. So I have to use a bit of the battery just to be aware of EXR Ollie. Now I decide to turn it off. So always thinking of the battery. Still not using the battery because you can see, even with the DRS, with the red line, he's got absolutely no speed. So the goal is to try and stay in P2, and we have done that now. So we managed to overtake Dado, and Ollie is actually overtaking him as well. So using a bit of the boost just in case he thinks about trying to get a run on me into here. And now we are in the perfect position. So we've done the hard work. We've closed in 3.5 seconds on Hamilton on the same freshness of tyres. Just maybe being a bit smoother through the traffic has really helped us there, and then maybe a little bit more of the raw speed and the battery power. Let's see what his speed is like in a straight line. So at this stage, I'm not even thinking of using the battery power, and it looks like he's using a bit of the battery here, in fact. So looks like he's maybe going to try and get as far ahead of me as possible. But this is really, really working into my favour because I know my car is very fast in a straight line. I'm very, very happy to let the guy ahead of me drain the battery. And this is what I've said many, many times in my videos. Sometimes you want the person in front, you want to try and pressure them into using the battery. And you can see here, he's actually putting away on the straight. So I think he's just going to try and create as much a gap as possible. Use that high downforce to try and stay more than half a second ahead, because he knows if I'm close, it's going to be a pretty easy overtake. So the only chance he has, if he has a lot of battery, is to really, really push with it. So again, really just learning to discipline yourself with the battery pack. And that's exactly what I'm trying to do here. So go through these corners. Looks like he's going to try and take this quad, but he makes a big, big mistake here. And that has really, really hurt his chances. Maybe he did have quite a lot of battery. That's why he was pushing. And he felt if he could create that gap, he could hang on for the last lap. So once again here, I don't want to get too close because I don't want him to maybe do something cheeky where he lets me go with the DRS. You can see we're not even activating the DRS at this stage. So coming into here, how much battery do we have? I think we have about around 30-ish% or something like that. Because battery is quite hard to recoup around here. So once again, not interested in getting super, super close. So coming off this corner, do we overtake on this straight or do we wait until the end of the lap? So what we're going to do here is we're not actually going to activate the battery. We're going to let him waste his. Because he would probably think that I would try and overtake here. So we just want him to waste his battery. I felt very confident that we would have the straight line speed. So I trust that he used quite a lot of his battery there to try and stop me from overtaking. So this is the point where I need to get close. So using a bit of it here just to get that momentum, get in that slipstream. And you can see once again, he is using it here. So he's trying to stay as far ahead as possible and then try and gain the time through the corner. So it's really through these corners. This is where it's crucial. And we just absolutely nailed that chicane here. But it's not that much of a long straight coming off here. So if he gets a good exit, it could be all over. So now, final lap of the race. How much speed do we have? Now we decide to use the battery. Does his red light flash? Did we predict this right? And yes, his red light's flashing. Go to a little WTF and then go around into the racing line. And you can see, with that red light flashing, us saving that battery. And you'll be able to see, if you look at the delta, it's just, we're just absolutely gone. Even though he's got the slipstream, that's how powerful it can be. I didn't allow myself to go under 10% of that battery. Now we use the rest of it. And you can just see how OP it is. Never let your battery go under 10% if you can. So, massive GG to Hamilton and everyone in this lobby. Very, very intense race. Monza always does seem to deliver. So, thank you so much to everyone who joined this. I hope, as you can see, typical. This is what always happens. But anyway, thank you so much. Hope you're having a great year so far. Catch you soon. Peace.